No, it's not. No, sometimes, when people ask if that's my name, I sometimes try to make the joke that it's a very old traditional Dutch name, but no, it's a nickname, and it actually is a nickname that I got because of punk rock. Back in the day, I wanted to bleach my hair as white as Billy Idol had it back then,
Yes,
and something horrible happened, and my hair turned bright orange because we're
yes,
just kids playing around with hair dye, and because I was wearing these leopard and tiger print shirts with safety pins. A kid in my class in school said, if you put a bone in your hair, you look like Pebbles.
yes, from the
And he
Flintstones.
started calling me Pebbles, and it just kind of spread. And, you know, I tried to change it back to my name, but that didn't really work. And then I realized people remembered my name because it was so different. And now it's just my name now.
Yes. Okay, so maybe you can talk to us maybe a little bit about how you got involved in the punk movement, how you became a musician, a punk musician.
Yeah, so I had already been playing some guitar. My mom, we used to go on vacation to Spain, as a lot of Dutch people do. So we were in Spain in a hotel, and there was like a tombola or a bingo. My mom won an acoustic guitar because she really wanted me to play guitar, and I wanted to play guitar. So I had like a couple of chords of knowledge, and I was like, plunking away. I was into hard rock as an early teen, and then one day, I think it was our top of the pops, Top Pop, Iggy Pop came on, and it kind of something happened to me
Yes.
because I was watching this madman completely destroying the set because it was all lip syncing, and he was not playing by the rule. He was not standing there and like pretending to sing. He just started throw. They had like fake palm trees, and he started climbing them, and I was like immediately, I was like, what is this? This
So
is something.
it's a
Yeah,
bit like the people, the generation before us, when they heard Elvis. It sounds a bit like, people who said, I heard Elvis, I saw Elvis, and, it changed my life. So you
it
saw,
definitely did. Yeah,
yeah, and it changed your life. So,
it
uh,
did.
yeah, and so you started playing bass. Is that how you
No, no, I'm a bass player now, but so back then I was playing some guitar, and saw Iggy Pop. Then within a week, it felt like kids in my school were wearing like safety pins and torn G, like they looked like punks. So I kind of followed them around a little bit. And then they told me about concerts in Paradiso, and I started, going there. And then I wanted to play too.
so you
And
were in the scene, you were part of the scene basically, and then you wanted to get involved more.
yeah, I wanted to play, and I there was a little note. So there was a punk rock a record store. It was called No Fun, and it's where we all got together. Like every Saturday it was packed with kids, and we would talk about music, and they always had the latest import records from the U, especially the UK. That's what I remember, and they had like a community board where you could leave messages,
Yes.
and there was one Ronald van der Brink put a little note and looking for a guitar player, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna call that number. It's
Yeah.
before cell phones.
I,
So
I yeah, when I it was in I it's really interesting this thing about No Fun, because in Paris we had, maybe about the Parisian shop New Rose that
mm,
became a record label. And I had when I was reading your interview, I was thinking, wow, we've had the same experience. And it's
yeah,
it's it's very much like we used to hang around. That was our social. The Thursday came, and it was the day when the records were coming out. And the imports. And then,
yeah.
so,
It was the Thursdays, I think, in the Netherlands too. That's when
yes,
the pluggers would go to the radio stations and the new. Yeah,
yeah,
it was really exciting to see what was coming our way because
yes. And
it was. Yeah.
yeah, we had Rémi Pépin on the show, who was a member of Guernica. And some of those members became Berrurier a little bit later on, Berrurier Noir. So anyway, so you know, and I think that's a topic that interests Herman, recollection and remembrance. But it's something I think old punks really remember, is the, you know, the waiting for the records. But and also, I believe you worked in that shop as well.
Yeah, I worked in that shop. I mean,
Ah, yes, yes.
so
Between
so
brackets.
yeah, in brackets, because I was, like I said, I was very young, and I was a school dropout. I just didn't want to be in school. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to work, but because of my age, I could only, I still had to go to school. I don't remember exactly, 2 or 3 days I had to go to school, and the rest I could find a job. And then one of my teachers kind of allowed me. He would give me like a little note that I couldn't make it. So I worked in no fun, but I was just smoking cigarettes and hanging out, and I was selling records, but it
Yes.
was like just being there, and yeah, and then, my dad took myself and my brother, to the US for a trip, and I forgot to tell them.
Oh.
So I kind of disappeared. And then when I came back, of course, I didn't have a job
Yeah.
anymore. And,
So is that how you integrated your band? You answered an
yeah,
advertisement on the
yeah,
community.
I called him. I remember calling him. I remember being really, really nervous. And my mom was like very supportive. She's like, just call, just call. I'm like, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't have an electric guitar. I just have this acoustic guitar. And so I called, and we could really connected. And I don't even know. I think my mom or a friend of my mom's, all of a sudden there was a cheap electric guitar, and I didn't have money for a case, so it was in a garbage bag. I would take this guitar everywhere
Oh,
in a garbage bag with a little bit of,
true style.
through style.
Yeah.
And that was Motorboat. And I Ronald was quite a bit older than myself, and he had a lot of ideas. He had a lot of knowledge about rock and roll and about music. And before we knew it, we had gigs, because Paradiso would have special evenings in their small hall upstairs, the small room, for local bands. And it was almost like, not like a real showcase, but there would be like 2 or 3 local or like Dutch punk rock bands playing and sharing the stage in an
Right.
evening. And it was easy
Right.
to get a gig that way.
So was it a band where you were the only woman in that band? You were the only woman in that
I
band?
was, yeah, I
Right.
was.
And then what happened after Motorboat? How long did it last? And did you feel, the topic of this chat is, women. And did you feel you were being marginalized in the band, or did you feel you were equal to the other members, or, what was the
I felt pretty equal. I think the only if you're talking about things not being level, it might have been because I was so much like younger than the others, less experienced. That I was learning a lot and very quickly. But I felt like I was just one of the band members, especially in Motorboat. Everyone was very kind, and there was a lot of room for me to develop myself as a musician, because you only need 3 chords in punk, or basically you need 2, and then just go up the neck to get But there was a lot of learning. And then Ronald was the singer, but he was giving me songs to sing on. And then he decided he wanted to go and do more like Dutch. He was one of the first people that I knew that was doing like Dutch rock and roll and Dutch punk rock. And he left, and we went on. There was a Motorboat too, actually, that not a lot of people know about. And it was mainly myself. Well, I was the only vocalist at that point, and we changed more to like a Buzzcocks kind of like power pop punk. And we were pretty good, actually, but that fell apart. And
right?
then I joined